Why are some nations rich while others stay poor? Why does prosperity flourish in South Korea but collapse in North Korea, even though they share the same history, culture, and geography? In Why Nations Fail, economists Daron Acemoglu and James Robinson say it's not about climate, race, or even natural resources. It comes down to one powerful idea: institutions. The rules of the game, who makes them, who benefits, and who's excluded, shape everything. In this video, we'll unpack the core ideas from this groundbreaking book, explore real-world examples, and explain why some nations thrive and others never get the chance. Most people assume poverty is caused by geography, laziness, or bad luck. But the authors argue that the real reason nations fail is because of their institutions, the political and economic systems that decide who has power and how that power is used. There are two types of institutions. Inclusive institutions create incentives, protect rights, and allow people to participate in the economy. Extractive institutions concentrate power in the hands of a few and are designed to benefit elites, often at the expense of everyone else. Think of it like this: if you're free to start a business, own property, vote, and compete fairly, you're probably living under inclusive institutions. But if power is hoarded, corruption thrives, and your success depends on who you know, you're in an extractive system. And here's the kicker: extractive institutions don't just happen. They're built deliberately, often by elites trying to protect their own power. Acemoglu and Robinson argue that history isn't destiny, but it does matter. The institutions a society creates early on tend to stick. Take the Americas, for example. When European colonists arrived, they set up very different systems. In North America, settlers faced no great civilizations to conquer. They built relatively inclusive institutions like property rights and self-governance. In Latin America, colonists encountered rich civilizations like the Aztecs and Incas, and they built extractive systems designed to exploit local people and resources. These early choices created paths that many countries are still stuck on centuries later. The result? Very different levels of prosperity, stability, and innovation. The authors introduced two powerful feedback loops. In inclusive systems, prosperity strengthens institutions, which attract innovation, which brings more prosperity. In extractive systems, wealth feeds corruption, which destroys trust, which leads to more inequality and less growth. It's a loop. And unless something breaks the cycle, like a revolution or massive reform, the system just keeps reinforcing itself. That's why some nations keep progressing while others stay stuck, or worse, regress. What about geography? Isn't Africa poor because of its deserts, diseases, or climate? The authors say no. Geography plays a role, but it doesn't explain everything. Take Botswana, landlocked in the same region as struggling nations, yet it built inclusive institutions and became one of Africa's success stories. What about culture? Doesn't Confucianism make Asian countries more disciplined? Again, no. Before the 1950s, China and South Korea were poor. Only after political and economic reforms did growth explode. And what about ignorance? Maybe leaders just don't know what to do. Not quite. Leaders of extractive systems often know exactly what would benefit the country, but they don't do it because it threatens their power. It's not ignorance, it's incentives. Let's look at a few real-world examples. First, North Korea versus South Korea. Same culture, same people, but drastically different outcomes. Why? South Korea embraced inclusive institutions after the Korean War. North Korea doubled down on extraction and dictatorship. Next, the Congo. From Belgian colonial rule to post-independent strongmen, the Congo has suffered under a string of extractive systems, each one looting resources and weakening institutions. Contrast that with the United States. In 1776, a group of revolutionaries broke away from British rule and created political institutions designed to check power. Over time, those institutions expanded and helped drive innovation and growth, though not without flaws. Institutions don't guarantee perfection, but they create the space for progress. If inclusive institutions are so great, why don't all nations build them? Simple. Elites resist change when it threatens their control. Reform means sharing power, and those in power rarely give it up voluntarily. That's why revolutions often fail. They just replace one extractive elite with another. For real change to happen, you need both pressure from below and leadership from within that's willing to break the cycle. It's hard, it's messy, but it's not impossible. Why nations fail doesn't promise easy answers, but it offers a powerful lens to understand the world. Prosperity isn't random. It's not geography or luck. It's the product of choices about who gets to participate, who holds power, and how institutions are built. As Acemoglu and Robinson put it, nations fail when they have extractive institutions that destroy incentives, suppress innovation, and concentrate power. But the future isn't fixed. Institutions can change, and with them, the fate of nations. If this breakdown gave you something to think about, hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. We drop new summaries of world-changing books every week. Let us know in the comments, what do you think is the biggest reason nations fail? And what book should we summarize next? Thanks for watching, and as always, stay curious.